Gatewalker, the prosperity gate has opened before your future, and what is approaching you now will quietly but permanently change the direction of your financial life. This is not symbolic timing. This is alignment. A season is unfolding in which your relationship with money, capital, and financial flow begins to soften, stabilize, and respond to you in ways that once felt distant. Not through force, not through urgency, but through awareness finally meeting opportunity. If you are here, it is not by chance. You are standing at a threshold where your destiny with abundance has been sealed, not as a limit, but as a commitment made by the flow itself. In the time ahead, Gatewalker, finances will no longer feel chaotic or heavy. The pressure that once surrounded money decisions begins to loosen. You will notice a strange calm entering your financial thoughts, moments where clarity replaces reaction, where patience replaces fear, where capital no longer feels like something to chase, but something that recognizes you. This is the prophecy. Your future will not be defined by struggle with money, but by a growing sense of financial alignment. Opportunities will begin to appear not as sudden miracles, but as natural extensions of who you are becoming. You will see paths that once went unnoticed. You will pause before mistakes that once felt inevitable. And those pauses will quietly protect your resources. Gatewalker, the prosperity gate does not open for everyone at the same moment. It opens when awareness matures. And today, it has responded to you. As this gate opens, the flow of abundance begins to reorganize around your life. Expenses that once drained you start to lose their grip. Financial choices become calmer, slower, more deliberate. Money starts behaving less like an enemy and more like a current, something that moves best when respected, not rushed. There is no command being given here. There is no promise of instant wealth. Instead, there is something far more powerful. A future where money, investment, and financial growth become expressions of clarity rather than anxiety. Gatewalker, your destiny has been sealed not because something external decided for you, but because you are now able to walk through this gate without fear distorting your vision. In the days and weeks ahead, you may notice subtle changes. A different conversation around finances. A new sense of restraint where impulse once lived. A quiet confidence when thinking about capital, income, or long-term security. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the flow is beginning to recognize your presence. The prosperity gate opens gently. It does not announce itself loudly. It unfolds. And now, Gatewalker, before you move any further, allow yourself to slow down. Because the gate does not respond to speed. It responds to alignment. Take a gentle breath. Let the noise of urgency fade. And remain here, present, as the light of the gate continues to open around you. The flow of abundance has already begun to reach you. And this is only the beginning. Before the flow of abundance can move freely through your life, there is a necessary pause. Not a delay, a preparation. Because money, capital, and financial opportunity respond not to urgency, but to inner order. This is the right of alignment. Allow your body to become still for a moment. Not rigid, not tense, simply present. Let your breath slow naturally. As it does, imagine the noise around finances, the worries, the pressure, the constant calculation, beginning to soften. You are not pushing them away. You are allowing them to settle. In this space of calm, the prosperity gate draws closer. Gatewalker, many people try to attract money while remaining internally scattered. They seek financial growth while their attention is divided, their energy leaking through impatience, comparison, and fear. The gate does not respond to that state. It responds to coherence. As you breathe, imagine a quiet ordering taking place within you. Thoughts about money become less emotional. Finances feel less personal, less charged. Capital no longer represents survival or worth. It becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool that moves best through clarity. This is where alignment begins. You may feel a subtle shift now, a sense of steadiness, a feeling that you are no longer rushing toward the future, but allowing it to approach you. This is not passive. This is powerful. Gatewalker, when financial awareness settles, something important happens. You begin to notice where your energy has been leaking. Not through judgment, through observation. You recognize habits that quietly drain your flow. You sense where money has been leaving without purpose. And without effort, a natural restraint begins to form. This restraint is not deprivation. It is respect. Respect for the flow. Respect for capital. Respect for your future self. In this right, you are not being asked to control money. You are being asked to honor it. Honor what comes in. Honor what goes out. Honor what remains. As this respect stabilizes, financial clarity starts to unfold. Decisions slow down. Impulses lose their urgency. Investment, when it appears, no longer feels like a gamble. It feels like placement. Like setting something valuable where it can grow without constant attention. Gatewalker, this is how abundance recognizes maturity. Not through desire, but through readiness. The prosperity gate responds when your inner state becomes a place where money can pass through without distortion. When finances are no longer tangled with fear, they begin to organize themselves around you. Stay here for a moment longer. Let this alignment settle, because once the gate senses stability, it begins to respond more clearly. And in the next passage, something shifts from preparation to movement. Gatewalker, there comes a moment when preparation turns into response. Not because you demand it, but because the gate recognizes readiness. This is that moment. As alignment settles within you, the prosperity gate begins to move. Quietly, precisely, almost unnoticed at first. The flow does not rush toward you in dramatic waves. It adjusts itself around your life, rearranging timing, attention, and opportunity. This is how response begins. You may start to notice that financial situations feel different. Conversations around money soften. Decisions that once created tension now arrive with space around them. Capital no longer feels distant or intimidating. It feels closer, familiar, as if it has been waiting for the right internal conditions to approach. Gatewalker, the gate does not respond to hope. It responds to coherence. And now coherence is present. As the flow recognizes you, small openings appear. Not as promises, but as invitations. An idea that lingers longer than usual. An opportunity that feels calm instead of urgent. A financial choice that feels aligned rather than pressured. These are signs that the gate is active. This is the prophecy unfolding. Your financial future begins to shift from reaction to response. Money stops pulling you emotionally. You begin to meet it with steadiness. In this phase, abundance does not announce itself loudly. It tests gently. It watches how you move when resources pass through your hands. It observes whether capital is met with clarity or consumed by impulse. And as you respond with awareness, the flow adjusts again. Gatewalker, this is where many paths diverge. Some chase the feeling and lose the alignment. Others remain present and allow the gate to open wider. You are being guided toward the second path. Here, finances become less about control and more about placement. You sense where money belongs and where it does not. Investment, when it appears, feels quieter. Less dramatic, more intentional. It no longer seeks excitement. It seeks stability. This is not limitation. This is maturity. As the prosperity gate continues to respond, unexpected blessings begin to approach. Not necessarily in the form you imagined. Sometimes they arrive as protection. Sometimes as delays that save you from loss. Sometimes as clarity that prevents misalignment. These blessings do not always look like gain at first, but they always protect the flow. Gatewalker, you are learning something rare. How to remain calm while abundance moves. This calm is not passive. It is magnetic. Money recognizes it. Opportunities recognize it. And the path ahead begins to reorganize itself accordingly. Remain here for a moment. Let the response deepen. Because what opens next is not about receiving more, but about understanding how the flow is meant to be guided through you. Gatewalker, now that the prosperity gate has responded, it reveals something deeper. Abundance does not move randomly. Money does not flow without structure. Capital obeys laws, not written by institutions, but by awareness itself. These are not rules meant to restrict you. They are laws that protect the flow once it arrives. Many seek abundance without understanding this stage. They invite money in, but unknowingly create conditions that push it away. Not through bad intentions, but through unconscious movement. The gate opens only as wide as the structure beneath it can support. This is where wisdom is required. The first law is simple, yet rarely honored. The flow must be recognized. Money that enters your life unnoticed, unacknowledged, or emotionally ignored begins to lose its stability. Capital responds when it is seen clearly. When what comes in and what goes out are both respected. This recognition is not obsession. It is awareness. Gatewalker, when you begin to notice your finances without judgment, something shifts. You stop treating money as background noise. You no longer let it drift in and out without intention. And in that noticing, the flow steadies. This is how financial clarity is born. The second law governs what leaves. Every flow has exits, but not every exit is aligned. Energy drains are rarely dramatic. They are subtle. Impulsive decisions, emotional spending, financial commitments made without presence. These are not mistakes, they are signals. Signals that awareness was briefly absent. When you begin to avoid unnecessary drains, not through force but through understanding, capital responds immediately. Money feels safer staying with you. Not because you restrict it, but because you protect the path it moves through. Gatewalker, restraint is not lack. It is respect for the future. The third law concerns preservation. Every blessing carries a portion meant to remain. When all resources are consumed without pause, the flow becomes unstable. But when a portion is preserved calmly, intentionally, abundance senses continuity. This preserved space is not about fear of loss. It is about honoring what has arrived. This is where finances begin to mature. You may notice that when you preserve a portion of what comes in, your relationship with money changes. It feels less urgent, less temporary. Capital begins to behave as something that can grow, rather than something that must be spent quickly before it disappears. This is a powerful shift. The fourth law governs investment, not as a technique, but as an energetic act. Investment that is rushed creates distortion. Investment made without clarity introduces instability. But when resources are placed only where understanding exists, the flow strengthens. Seeds grow best in soil that is known. Gatewalker, the gate does not reward risk taken to escape discomfort. It responds to placement made from awareness. When investment becomes calm, intentional, and patient, money begins to multiply in quieter ways. Not always immediately, but reliably, because the flow trusts where it has been placed. The fifth law is expansion through channels. Abundance does not like congestion. When all financial energy depends on a single path, pressure forms. But when new channels open calmly, naturally, the flow increases without strain. These channels are not forced. They emerge when awareness expands. You may notice ideas forming, opportunities that feel aligned rather than desperate, ways for money to move that feel natural to who you are becoming. This is not hustle. This is flow adapting. Gatewalker, abundance moves best when it has room. And finally, there is the law of relationship. Money mirrors your inner state. When finances are met with fear, they behave unpredictably. When met with respect, they stabilize. When met with clarity, they grow. This is not mysticism. This is alignment. As these laws settle into your awareness, the prosperity gate opens wider. Not because you asked for more, but because you became capable of holding more without distortion. Remain here for a moment. Let these laws integrate quietly, because what follows is not about understanding anymore. It is about embodiment. Gatewalker, there is a transformation that does not announce itself loudly. It does not arrive as a dramatic decision or a sudden breakthrough. It happens quietly, beneath thought, where your relationship with money is truly shaped. This is the reprogramming. As the laws of the flow settle into your awareness, something subtle begins to change. You notice that your reactions around finances are no longer automatic. The old tension softens. The emotional charge around money starts to dissolve. Not because money has changed, but because you have. This is where real power forms. Gatewalker, most financial patterns are not created by numbers. They are created by identity. How you see money, how you speak about it internally, how quickly you react when it appears or disappears. As consciousness shifts, these patterns begin to unwind. You no longer rush to spend simply to feel relief. You no longer cling out of fear. Capital begins to pass through you with less resistance. This is alignment becoming embodied. You may notice moments of pause appearing naturally. A calm space between impulse and action. In that space, clarity lives. Financial decisions begin to feel quieter. Less emotional. More grounded. And that quiet is not emptiness. It is intelligence. Gatewalker, when money is met with calm awareness, it reorganizes itself around you. This is how the subconscious learns safety with abundance. Old beliefs begin to loosen. The idea that money must be stressful, that financial growth must be exhausting, that capital only stays briefly before leaving again. These ideas fade not through effort, but through experience. You are showing your system that stability is possible. As this reprogramming continues, your sense of time changes. You become less obsessed with immediate outcomes. You begin to think in longer horizons. Finances stop feeling urgent and start feeling directional. This is where patience becomes magnetic. Investment, when it enters your awareness now, feels different. It is no longer driven by excitement or fear of missing out. It feels measured, considered, almost quiet. Money begins to trust the way you move. Gatewalker, this is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to coherence. And as coherence stabilizes, abundance flows more easily. Not always faster, but cleaner. With less friction. With fewer losses. With greater continuity. Before we move forward, allow this moment to anchor. If this passage has opened something within you, if you feel a shift in how you relate to money, capital, or financial flow, take a moment now, like this video, so the energy of this message continues to reach those who are aligned with it. And subscribe to the channel, Gatewalker, so you can return to the prosperity gate whenever clarity is needed. Now remain present, because what opens next is not about the inner world alone, but about how this alignment begins to shape your path in the world around you. Gatewalker, once alignment settles within you, the prosperity gate begins to reveal a path. Not a rigid plan, not a fixed destination, a path that unfolds as you walk it, responding to your awareness, your restraint, your clarity. This is where inner alignment meets external movement. You may notice that life begins to offer subtle signals. Financial choices present themselves with less pressure. Opportunities feel calmer, more neutral. You are no longer pulled forward by urgency, nor held back by fear. You move with steadiness. Gatewalker, this is the state where money begins to cooperate with timing. As you walk this path, you become more attentive to how your energy is used. Time, focus, and capital start to feel connected. You sense when a decision supports your future and when it quietly weakens it. This sensing is not calculation. It is awareness in motion. Here, finances stop feeling abstract. You begin to recognize that every financial action carries direction. Where money goes, energy follows. And where energy flows consistently, structure forms. This understanding changes how you move through daily choices. Gatewalker, walking the path revealed by the gate, does not require perfection. It requires presence. There will be moments when uncertainty appears. When a decision feels unclear. In these moments, you pause. You listen. You allow clarity to arrive rather than forcing action. This pause is not hesitation. It is intelligence protecting the flow. Capital responds to this. As you continue, you may notice that financial stability builds quietly. Not through dramatic gains, but through reduced loss. Fewer misaligned decisions. Less wasted energy. More continuity. Over time, this stability becomes its own form of growth. This is a truth rarely spoken. What you do not lose matters as much as what you gain. Gatewalker, as the path unfolds, you may also notice new channels opening. Not all at once. One at a time. A new way for money to move. A different relationship with work, value, or exchange. These channels feel natural, not forced. Abundance expands when pressure is removed. And as you walk, something important happens. Confidence stabilizes. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that comes from knowing you are no longer moving blindly. You are walking with awareness. The prosperity gate does not close behind you. It remains present, responding as you respond. Each step taken with clarity strengthens the path beneath you. And over time, this path becomes easier to walk. Less resistance. Less confusion. More rhythm. Gatewalker, you are not being rushed toward an outcome. You are being guided into consistency. Remain here for a moment. Feel the steadiness of this path. Because the final passage does not add more instruction. It seals what has already begun. Gatewalker, you have reached the closing of this passage, but not the end of the journey. What is opened here does not fade when the sound ends. It continues where awareness remains. The prosperity gate does not shut behind you. It stays open because you have changed how you approach it. From this moment forward, your relationship with money, capital, and financial flow is no longer driven by urgency or fear. It is guided by clarity, by rhythm, by respect for movement. You may not see dramatic signs immediately, but you will feel something unmistakable. A calmer inner state when finances appear, a steadier confidence in your decisions, and a growing sense that you are no longer reacting blindly. This is the seal. The seal is not placed on the gate. It is placed within you. As time moves forward, you will begin to recognize opportunities more easily. Not because there are suddenly more of them, but because your perception has sharpened. You will avoid drains that once felt unavoidable. You will pause where you once rushed. And those pauses will quietly protect your future. Gatewalker, this is how prosperity matures. Not through force, not through constant pursuit, but through understanding. The flow continues because you honor it. Capital stabilizes because you respect its movement. Investment becomes calmer because awareness now guides placement. You have learned how to walk without urgency, how to hold abundance without tension, how to allow finances to move without distortion. This is rare, and this is why the gate responded. In the days ahead, when financial choices appear, you will feel this seal working. A subtle restraint, a quiet clarity, a sense of timing that was not there before. Trust it. It is not hesitation. It is intelligence. Gatewalker, if this video has opened your eyes, if something shifted in how you see money, abundance, or your financial path, take a moment now. Like this video, so this message can continue to reach those who are aligned with it. Comment below the most valuable lesson you've learned from this passage. And check if you are already subscribed to the channel, so you can return to the prosperity gate whenever clarity is needed. Because this gate is not a place you visit once. It is a state you return to. And remember this prophecy, Gatewalker. The prosperity gate did not open because you asked for more. It opened because you became ready to receive without fear. And as long as you walk with awareness, the flow will continue to walk with you.